All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday, October 5th. We got two MLB postseason games to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games, so all two of them. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That's where you'll find all of my final plays. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. In terms of how we did yesterday, a 2-3 night, I kind of shrug at it because we end up only losing 0.07, so not even a tenth of a unit there, due to the fact that the Brewers and Cubs over 7, sweat-free. The Phillies and Dodgers, honestly, kind of sweatish-free. Those were our two, that over 6.5, those were our two biggest positions yesterday. The Tucker over 0.5 hits, over hits, runs, and RBIs doesn't come through. The Aaron Judge parlay with George Springer, both of them to get a hit, that doesn't come through. Judge did have multiple hits, right? But those were our lower plays. So I guess that's what I'm telling myself to keep the glass half full here. A 2-3 night, kind of a wash in a sense. Do we want to be green? No kidding, but it's not exactly all that terrible. In terms of today, though, we got two games we're going to dive into. Before we do, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get hot here in the postseason. It has been a little bit up and down, right? We started hot, and then we had a brutal day, and then yesterday was kind of middling. Let's go ahead and dive into game number one here. Toronto taking on New York. All Toronto yesterday, a 10-1 win. Gausman looked pretty decent. Luis Heel, not exactly so much. The Yanks bullpen, not exactly so much. What do we see today? I mean, Max Fried's on the bump. That's going to be a huge advantage in terms of New York because he is a lefty, and this is a Toronto squad that has not exactly hit lefties to close out the year within the last month or so. He has a large pitch mix as well, so I do trust Max Fried. I think that he's going to be able to suppress this Toronto lineup to some degree. Now, Trey Savage, 3 starts under his young MLB career. He's getting the start in game number 2 here for Toronto. What do we expect from him? I think that that's going to be the bigger and more crucial thing to look at. Is this Yankee squad going to tag him? Is there a reason that we're looking at this Yankee squad at like minus 150 right now? Actually, minus 140 over on ProfitX. Is there a reason that they're that heavily favored? And I would say yes and no. Yes, I like Max Fried given the advantage. We talked about that, right? The no is that I still think that this pitch mix from Savage can be pretty good. Fastball splitter. We saw Gausman throw some similar pitches yesterday, and look what the Yankees did with him. Not so much, right? The only thing that I can get concerned with, I should say, is the fact that he throws a slider 25.5% of the time. The Yankees closed out the season the last 30 days, 5th at hitting the slider. You have guys like Judge, Bellinger, Ben Rice, Giancarlo Stanton, Chisholm, Austin Wells, all these guys in the meat of that lineup. They hit the slider very, very well. They hit righties very, very well. So I do like the idea of some form of an under in this spot, but I also lean towards the Yankees on the money line. I think that they bounce back. Yes, we do have obviously a young pitcher here and everything like that, and maybe we're looking at him with either having the juice or not. Who knows, right? But either way, the pitch mix I do think is a good enough spot for him to keep this game low, but I do think that Max Fried kind of deals. So to me, yes, I do like the under as well as the Yankees. In terms of player props, I already kind of mentioned him. I like Aaron Judge yet again. I think this is another really good spot for him. We saw him hit a similar pitch mix yesterday, have multiple hits against Kevin, or I guess in the game, but looked good against Gausman. So to me, I like the Yankees. I like the under as well as Aaron Judge. Depends on what you get for Judge, though, right? Obviously, his lines and his odds are going to be super inflated, especially if he starts to get things going. But still, right now, you can get him for minus 150 for over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I don't think you're going to get that line for too much longer, but that's what I would look at in this one. Now, before we do dive into game number 2 here, I want to talk to you guys about Epic Fantasy. If you guys have not tried Epic yet, you are absolutely missing out. I've mentioned it multiple times here on the channel, but what's really cool is they've now introduced a web browser, which is absolutely awesome. You don't have to do it on the phone. I mean, it's still great on the phone, but the fact that we can rock this now on the computer is awesome. So check it out, guys. They've made it easier than ever to now browse the plays on the site. And what I love about Epic Fantasy is the payouts and the multipliers as well as the lines. You know what I mean? Like the fact that they can beat a lot of the other competitors in the space is great. Now, one really cool thing that they also do is the Fatum section. I can go through here and say, okay, Donnie A.O., what are we thinking about this one? Justin Fields, you have his over. Maybe I like the under. Chase McLaughlin, you have his over. Maybe I like the under. Baker Mayfield, you have the over. Maybe I like the under, right? And all I need is one of those to come through if we do end up wanting to cash on the Fatum section. So you can fade other users' plays. Really, really cool stuff, guys. Go check it out. That link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Make sure to use code GUYBOSTON when signing up. Next up, we have Seattle taking on the Tigers here. Luis Castillo on the bump going up against Tarek Skubal. Detroit takes the win yesterday, right? 3-2 in a very low-scoring game. They end up scoring the 2 runs in the 5th off that Kerry Carpenter absolute blast, and then they score one in the top of the 10th there in extras. So yeah, this was kind of a surprising win from you. You had Detroit as what did they close at yesterday? Like plus probably 170-ish in terms of money line odds. Now, obviously, being favored because Skubal is on the bump, and I don't necessarily mind the spot for him. That being said, if we look at some of his numbers against this this Seattle squad, it really hasn't been all that tremendous, at least in the last couple years. Second to last start against them, 3 earned through 5 2/3, 8 strikeouts, 3 walks, and a home run. Then he went up against them in July, 5 innings pitched, 4 earns, 5 strikeouts, 2 hits, 2 walks, 1 home run. So Skubal hasn't been all that great. But at the same time, Luis Castillo also hasn't been all that tremendous against this Tiger squad. Is it crazy for me to consider an over in this spot? Skubal, Seattle, but guys, look at what that total is, 5.5. I'm sounding the psycho alert alarm. The first thing that I look at in this one is a potential look at the over. If we see a sinker from Luis Castillo, which he does throw as the second or third pitch here, that's a pitch that Detroit's hitting at the 3rd highest clip in terms of runs above average. And you flip it over, fastball, sinker, and changeup are pitches that the Seattle team really hits. And by the way, both bullpens very, very taxed. So I sounded the psycho alert alarm. I can see why someone would be like, what are you talking about? An over in this spot? I think it's what I'm actually looking at here. Now, if I had to pick a side, I don't necessarily mind the idea of Seattle, especially if I think that some runs, could potentially come through in this spot. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we have an over means that I'm not giving Skubal the credit that he deserves, and I think that the better bats will prevail, which I do think the better bats in this case are Seattle. Even though we didn't necessarily see it yesterday or anything like that, still kind of what I'm leaning towards. So I like Seattle in this spot, but I think I like that over 5.5 more. Sound the psycho alert alarm again. Let me know down in the comments, guys. Make sure to comment 7 if you made it this far in the video. But let me know, am I a psycho for taking the over with Luis Castillo and Tarek Skubal on the bump? Like, combined, these guys have probably allowed, what, in their last 3 starts, like 5 or 6 runs? I think it is actually 5 runs in their last 3 starts combined. I might be a little crazy here, but 5.5 seems a little too low. No way people are jumping on board with that, right? Now, from a player prop perspective, I did consider the idea of Cal Raleigh. I think that he has a decent pitch mix matchup, and he hits lefties well. The problem is it is still Skubal, right? And at some point, I got to give Skubal the credit he deserves. Like, as one of, if not the best pitcher in the entire league, I can't just take the over. Cal Raleigh's going to hit him up. The Mariners win, right? It's like a total fade of Skubal. So that's where I start to sense myself getting a little crazy, but that is a spot in which I started to look at. So an under in this case would be Wenceel Perez. I like his under. He's going to be a switch hitter. This is he's going to bat lefty. Luis Castillo does struggle against lefties, but Wenceel Perez struggles more against, I would say, the fastball and I guess the splitters, like the pitch mix, right? So I do think that you're getting a good line because he's going to be going up against a righty here, and obviously Castillo's struggles against lefties. But Wenceel Perez, 176 average against righties last 30 days, 529 OPS. I think we're getting a good line for a good reason in terms of what the sportsbooks are offering us. So yeah, I like his under. I do like Rayleigh's overs, but I think the over in the game is my favorite spot here, which again, I understand is a little crazy. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. I know, very, very quick, but we only have 2 games here. NFL Sunday as well. Hopefully you guys did really enjoy this one. And yeah, make sure to check out all of the other content on the channel. Really do appreciate you guys rocking with me. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.